Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Spurs Up Show, best Gamecocks podcast on the internet. Today is Monday, September the 20th, 2021. Today's show, I break down everything from Saturday night in Athens, folks. The Gamecocks fall 40-13 to the Georgia Bulldogs to fall to 2-1 early in this 2021 football season. Guys, I'll give my full thoughts and takeaways on the game, as well as my biggest takeaway from Saturday night. Also, we'll hand out a few TSUS game balls, talk about our Slapdick of the weekend, hand out the Cock of the Walk Award, and much, much more. Again, we break down everything that happened Saturday night in Athens. Also, guys, news and notes to get into. We've got your listener questions, your voicemails, and a fantastic conversation with a friend of the show. Mike Gillespie of ABC Columbia joined me to break down everything that happened over the weekend, as well as we look ahead to this upcoming weekend as Sal kind of hosts the Kentucky Wildcats in a massive showdown Saturday night at Williams-Brice Stadium. Guys, we got all that and more, a lot to get into here on a Monday, and it's all brought to you by our friends over at Upstate Movers Group. Guys, Upstate Movers Group, superior moving service. They bring care and attention other companies can't offer because they're just too busy maintaining trucks and profiting off of them instead of focusing on service. Guys, service is what separates Upstate Movers Group from the competition. They're not a trucking company, they're a moving services company, and they're also employee-owned co-op. Their movers are paid twice the industry average, and everyone on the crew is invested in your success. They have dedicated professional crew members, and they also offer black glove service. They offer end-to-end packing services, custom crating and packaging professional items, and cleaning services as well. They're founded by Greenville natives and University of South Carolina alumni, guys, so a Gamecock-owned small business. They also offer 20 years of project management moving experience, and they can offer logistics and solutions that traditional moving companies simply do not have the skills for. Guys, whether in the upstate or across the state of South Carolina, if you have any moving needs in 2021, be sure to check out our friends over at Upstate Movers Group. You can find them on social media at Upstate Movers Group. Or, of course, if you have any other questions, go to their website, upstatemoversgroup.com. That's upstatemoversgroup.com. Be sure to check them out and tell them Chris from the Spurs Up Show sent you. Let's get it. Guys, it's crazy as business continues to evolve and change and improve and get better over time. We begin to run into certain monumental achievements and accolades and milestones, if you will. And this is a special Monday for many reasons. I am fired up here on this Monday for many reasons, and I cannot wait to experience this Monday and celebrate these milestones with you all. Again, folks, happy Monday, by the way. I hope you're all doing well. I'm Chris Phillips, host of the Spurs Up Show. As always, appreciate you all tuning in, guys. Thank you all so much for the continued love and support, guys, and I hope this show finds you all no matter where you are, what you're doing, whether you're on the commute, you're in the office, you're on the job, you've got the day off, maybe you're in class, whatever it is, folks. Thank you all so much. And again, before we get going into everything, because of course, we're going to talk about everything that happened over the weekend with the Georgia game. We got a great conversation coming up later as well. I want to highlight just a couple of things. First things first, thank you all to those who came out to Carolina Ale House in Harbison for our watch party over the weekend, guys. The Carolina Ale House folks continue to be extremely impressed with the crowds we are drawing. And again, it's great for business, and you guys are directly impacting business and everything we're doing here with TSUS. So again, guys, thank you all so much. Going to continue to do those watch parties for all of the road games this season. And again, I cannot say thank you enough to everyone who takes time to come out, conversate, say what's up. Had a really, really good time Saturday night watching the Gamecocks at Carolina Ale House at the Harbison location in Columbia, South Carolina. But we have to start with, guys, officially, this is episode 500 of the Spurs Up Show. 500. Guys, like I said, the really cool thing and neat thing is as things continue to evolve and grow, we're just starting to hit milestone after milestone after milestone. And again, it's a blessing beyond words. And it's a reflection, obviously, of all the hard work we put in and all the countless hours and dedication we put into this craft and developing things and improving things and enhancing things and just continuing to put out great energy and work and continue to, build on our positive momentum and everything else. But episode 500, guys, officially, this is episode 500. Of course, I wish episode 500 we were talking about a win instead of a loss. But either way, it's crazy, guys. I vividly remember recording the very first episode in my apartment in Charlotte, North Carolina. I had iPhone headphones, right, with the little microphone on it or whatever. They weren't even AirPods at the time. They were iPhone headphones with the microphone on the cord or whatever, and recording the first episode. And that was in April of 2017. And again, I've never been one to put a cap on anything we do. And I still don't do that. I think, we're putting in work, we're putting in positive energy, positive value. The sky's the limit, right? It would be foolish, I think, to put a cap on something like this. I believe TSUS and everything that we're building and we're doing can go as far as we want it to go. Really, truly. The sky, not even the sky is the limit. You know what I mean? But 500 episodes, I stay so present moment in, creating content. There's always something new to talk about, right? And we have daily podcasts, the Daily Crow, stuff like that. So I don't spend a lot of time, sitting down and reflecting a whole lot, you know what I mean? Because again, you're staying so present moment and you're always thinking about the next piece of content, the next thing you're doing, whatever. But it is nice and it is good. I think it's healthy at times to sit down and reflect and be proud of yourself and look at your accomplishments and just, reflect on, wow, look at the work we've done and the positive value and the positive energy we put out there. Look at the way we've positively impacted people. And 500 episodes, man, it's crazy. And it's all, again, a direct reflection on the support that you guys show and the support that you guys, without you guys, there's no way we would have ever gotten to 500 episodes. There's no way we would have kept going day after day after day after day. So again, guys, I want to say thank you all so much. I mean, again, hitting 500 episodes is a very big deal in my mind. It's a really cool milestone and a really, really cool thing. And, man, like I said, just to hit that number, to hit 500 episodes, again, this being the 500th episode, it really just goes to show, again, you guys' support, but also the hard work we've all put in and the, everyone in my circle who's continued to support me and drive me and keep me going and fuel me with their positive energy and give me words of wisdom and words of encouragement when times were, whatever the times were, it doesn't matter. I feel blessed beyond measure, blessed beyond words, guys. And again, it's not something I take lightly and something I take for granted. I'll be popping some champagne and probably smoking a cigar here a little bit. Cause again, I believe in celebrating the victories, all the victories, big and small. I think it's important to celebrate victories. Like when it's a job well done and you work your ass off and you put out great work and, celebrate the victories, right? Celebrate the victories, keep going, but take a moment, take time to acknowledge those victories and celebrate those victories. And again, this is a celebration for all of us, right? 500 episodes. Cheers the next 500, guys. And again, without your love and your support and you guys, without you guys tuning in, right? There's no way we would have ever gotten to this point with 500 episodes. And again, I fully believe this is just the beginning. So cheers to the next 500, right? Cheers to getting to 1,000. But thank you guys so much, man. I can't say enough. On that note, also, another milestone that we hit over the weekend and a milestone that we hit on Saturday specifically, we actually hit 15,000 followers on our Twitter account. And guys, this one's really, really cool and really, really special for me specifically because, I remember jumping on the Twitter account January of 2017. I remember specifically there being 30 followers. I'm not over exaggerating. There were 30 followers on the exact same TSUS account that you most likely follow right now on Twitter. And so building from that, I have great perspective on just how wild it is. I mean, I remember sitting there thinking, I remember, guys, it took a year to hit 1,000 followers on Twitter. I remember when we hit 1,000, dude, I thought that was like the biggest deal ever. Like I literally went and bought a bottle of champagne and like celebrated it. And I thought hitting 1,000, and of course at that time it was, right? But I thought it was incredible. Like it was like the coolest thing ever. And so, I most certainly will not just overlook and, whatever, we hit 15,000, no big, it is a big deal. It's it's really cool. And again, like I said about the episodes and everything, it's just a testament to the hard work we've put in and the grind and the dedication, the daily, day after day after day after day work, and the positive energy and positive value. And, also, of course, like I said, guys, it's a testament to you guys, your love, your support, showing love to the content, sharing the content, everything we're doing, man. I can't say enough good things, man. Like I said, we're at a really, really cool point right now, guys, in the history of TSUS. I hope you all realize that. We're at a very, very cool point, man. We're like, it's like weekly, guys. I mean, literally, I was looking back at our notes this time last week, literally a week ago, we were celebrating hitting 20,000 followers on Instagram. Like, it is becoming a weekly, damn near daily thing. We are celebrating hitting a new milestone, or we're breaking records, or we're hitting certain numbers. You know what? We're obviously, guys, we're on pace right now. We're going to shatter the all-time monthly downloads record. I mean, absolutely shatter it. And so we're at a really cool point right now, guys, in the history of TSUS and everything that's going on right now with all the positive energy and the positive momentum and all the great work we're putting out there. And again, guys, I owe it all to you. So again, I want you guys to always remember that. I am extremely grateful, beyond grateful. Words cannot express it. And again, people ask me, Chris, why do you say we? Why do you say we? You keep saying we. Like, it's you. You're doing all the work. You're making all the content. You're doing the shows. And listen, I totally understand people come from that, but I say we because if it was just me, without the love and support of you guys and the love and support of everybody who tunes into this podcast and people who interact with us on social media and that follow and that DM, all of our people in the Big Cock Club, everyone though that takes even a moment out of their time to show love and support for everything we do, guys, it is we. We're celebrating these successes together. It's not just me. Without you guys, none of this is even possible. So again, I want you guys to always know that when we celebrate successes here, it's all of us. This is a victory for everyone who believes in the business and the vision of the Spurs Up Show and yours truly and everything we do. So again, I cannot say thank you enough. It's like I said, guys, it's just, we're at such a cool point right now in the history of the business with, it feels like on a daily basis, we're breaking records and, we're hitting milestones and different accolades coming up. And it's really, really cool. It's really, really cool. So, again, I know we're talking about the Georgia game and how that game went over the weekend, but, on a side note, on a positive note, celebrating these successes with you all, I'm grateful beyond measure. I'm blessed beyond measure, guys. And again, it's all because of you guys. You guys give me the opportunity to wake up each and every single day. You guys give me the opportunity to talk into this microphone and share my love of the Gamecocks and Gamecocks football and Gamecocks athletics and everything else. My love of creating. You guys give me the ability to do that. And again, without you guys, none of it would be possible. So again, thank you all so much, man. Thank you. I cannot say it enough times. On that note, though, more exciting news. Of course, we're talking Georgia today, but it is Kentucky week. The TSUS tailgate is back at Seawells this weekend, folks. Spots 93 to 96 will be out at Seawells. Of course, guys, we all know by now, SEC Nation will also be in Columbia for the game before the Kentucky game. The morning of that game, yours truly is going out there. We're going out there with the TSUS and the Big Cock Club flags flying. So I'll be out there at that and then heading straight over to the tailgate. So again, our tailgate, guys, we're going to get rocking around noon. I mean, literally around noon, we're going to be out there. We're going to be rocking. We're going to be rolling. Would love to have you guys come out. So again, Seawells right across the street from the Rocket. We've posted the graphic on social media. If you have any questions in regards to where Seawells is, how to get there, what's the parking situation, guys, DM me, let me know. But again, the stuff is all on social media. The details are there. Spots 93 to 96 in the Seawells lotting, guys. You will see the TSUS and Big Cock Club flags flying. So again, TSUS tailgate this Saturday. Really looking forward to it, guys. Also, we're rolling out something, I say new. We've done this before, but we have not done it yet this football season, guys. There will be no pregame show or anything on Saturday, but TSUS post-game show following the Kentucky game, immediately following, guys. We will go live, taking your questions, your comments, your calls. Could be very, very interesting, depending the outcome of the game. But, yeah, looking forward to that, man. I just see the opportunity. I think it's a really, really cool thing to get that immediate reaction, if you will. So, again, there will be a TSUS post-game show immediately following the conclusion of the Gamecocks game against the Kentucky Wildcats this Saturday. Of course, kickoff set for 7 o'clock at Williams-Brice Stadium. But guys, of course, we have all week, right, to talk about the Kentucky game. This is a Monday. Today, we are talking about what happened over the weekend as the Gamecocks traveled to Athens, Georgia, falling to the Dogs 40-13 in their SEC opener. And guys, when you look back on this game, you know, I don't want to be so short, sweet, and to the point and just move on from the game on Saturday. But I asked Mike Gillespie this, and I would pose this question, I guess, to you all because I posed it to myself. When you look at the expectations of this football game and what you expected South Carolina to do and what you wanted to see South Carolina do, did the Gamecocks meet your expectations? Did they exceed your expectations? Or did they fall short of your expectations? And when I look at this game, guys, South Carolina did exactly what I thought they would do. You know, I'll be honest with you guys. I woke up on Saturday and you know, I gave my score prediction, of course, on Friday, 38-7. I fully expected what we saw Saturday night. Now, again, that does not mean I wasn't excited for the game. That doesn't mean I wasn't hopeful for the game. But we knew coming in that there was a talent discrepancy across the board, top to bottom. We understood the challenge at hand, that South Carolina was outclassed. They were overmatched. And it's no indictment on Shane Beamer. It's no indictment on Marcus Satterfield. It's no indictment on Clayton White, but you got to give Georgia credit. You have to tip your cap at what they've done, what they've built, what they've recruited there in Athens, Georgia under Kirby Smart. But I do think, guys, like we talked about going in this football game, that positives could come out of it. And really, guys, my thought process in pregame was this: just have enough positives to come into this week still having a lot of optimism and positivity and momentum going into a monumental game, a very pivotal game against the Kentucky Wildcats. And I think you've successfully done that because, of course, guys, I'm recording this Sunday afternoon. And from what I can see on social media and how I feel, you know, I feel a little bit more chipper than I normally do the Sunday after a loss. Of course, you're disappointed. You're not happy. Nobody's happy losing by 27 to the Dogs. I hate Georgia. I get it. But there were positives that came out of this football game. That's where I want to start because I saw people on social media, right? And we talked on the Daily Crow. We talked on the pod all last week. And I warned you guys about expectations, right? Expectations are a very important part of life. They're a very important part of life, not just in sports, but in business and relationships, in everything you do, right? Having proper expectations, setting proper expectations is very, very, very important. And I did my best last week on our airwaves, on our platform, to, while being optimistic and positive, keep expectations very realistic. Because you can say, oh, you're being negative. You can say, oh, you're selling us short. You know, you're not giving us a chance. Like, you can say all those things you want to say, but I would argue to you, it is very healthy to come into year one of your head coach's tenure and also a football game like the one you just played over the weekend with proper expectations. It is healthy to do so. And so I did my best all last week to set proper expectations for what most likely was going to happen on Saturday. And I say all that to say this, because I saw a lot of people. I say a lot. I don't think it was the majority, but a fair number of folks who were kicking and screaming and bitching and moaning, fire Beamer, fire Satterfield, this, that, you know, we're no good, that were just losing their minds. And guys, if that was you, if that's how you feel, it is 110% your fault. Because you set improper expectations coming in this football game. You put too much on South Carolina. They're not there yet, guys. They're not there yet. South Carolina is not on Georgia's level, bottom line. The Gamecocks got beat Saturday night by a better team. Flat out, that's it. More talented, a better football team, top to bottom. It does not take a rocket scientist to see that. Georgia was just better than you guys. And I know fans, they want to blame someone. They want to attribute the blame to a coach, to a player, to a circumstance, to a bad break, to a referee. Fans want to blame somebody. But in a game like we saw Saturday, guys, they're just better than you are. They just have better players. And that's okay, guys. When you looked at this game in the preseason, nobody picked this as a W for South Carolina. This was a write it in black ink L for the Gamecocks. And nobody was arguing that point. Again, like I said, I think fans for the most part are very realistic and do understand the challenge and the task at hand. And they realize what Shane Beamer's working with. If you want to blame anybody, blame the guy that was on the other sideline wearing the readers, looking like a dumbass. Blame him for what he left Shane Beamer. Blame him for the train wreck that he handed over to Shane Beamer. But I thought a lot of positives came from that football game. And again, guys, it's not about moral victories. And, I know there's just some people out there. I know it for a fact. There's people out there that are, you're settling for mediocrity. Like you're settling for this. This is why Carolina's terrible. Like, Beamer sucks. He didn't have us ready to play. Again, guys, if that's how you feel, you're entitled to your opinion. You're entitled to your opinion. But, I had somebody text me during the game, man, I'm so nervous. I'm on edge. I'm like, why? Why? I mean, this game is going exactly how I expected. And it's okay. It was a David against Goliath situation. That's just where you are right now. That's where you are. So again, guys, setting proper expectations, very important. If you did so, I think you're able to look at a game like Saturday night. And again, we're not riding moral victories. We're not celebrating a 27-point loss, but you're able to draw some positives early in Shane Beamer's tenure. And the first thing is this, guys, the overwhelming takeaway. I won't say it's my biggest takeaway from this Saturday because I'm going to get into that in just a little bit. But I talked to you guys all week about how South Carolina played this football game, not necessarily what the final score was. It was about how they played the game. And I thought South Carolina, for the most part, fought their asses off. I say for the most part, for the entirety. They fought their asses off. There's no doubt in my mind. The thing that really stood out to me in the fourth quarter, guys are still flying around, still hitting guys, still making life hell for the Georgia guys. Offensively, you continue to fight, scratch, and claw. You got that late touchdown, which, hey, by the way, we scored a touchdown on Georgia. Clemson can't say that. So, by transitive property, I'm just saying. I'm just the messenger. But, no, I mean, you continue to fight. You continue to fight, bottom line. And we've seen it in the past, guys. I know it may seem small to some people, but we've seen it in the past, right? Where Gamecock teams will get down, they'll hang their heads, they'll quit, they'll roll over, they'll just take it. I thought this team fought their asses off. And that's a football team that believes in their head coach. They believe in what they're being told. And again, guys, it's like I told you after last weekend. The culture's changing, right? The biggest thing I wanted to see from year one was a well-coached football team. And the culture begin to change. Slowly but surely, I know it was a bad loss, but slowly but surely you're seeing that. Guys are fighting for one another. They're believing. And hey, that's the first step. Because once you lay that foundation and once you have a well-coached football team, and I know there's still some issues. There's still deficiencies. There's still discipline issues with penalties. I get it. Things are not perfect right now, guys. It is literally game 3 of Shane Beamer's tenure. Anybody who thinks you can fix this thing in one off season and 3 games, newsflash, takes a little bit longer than that. Got to be patient with your head football coach. You got to trust your head football coach. But I can see it, man. The culture is slowly but surely changing. Things are different. I got this text from my buddy during the game who was at the game. And I've mentioned him a couple of times to you guys on these airwaves. Works personnel for the University of Georgia, and I'll leave it at that. He texted me about 10 o'clock, right? Game is far in hand at this point. He texted me down 34, and Beamer is sprinting down the sideline to tell a receiver to run back to the sideline so the punt team can run on. That is the shit you have to love. The scoreboard might suck, but that's the kind of stuff that changes a whole program. Might seem small to the common fan. Might be something you guys are hearing that and saying, I don't really give a damn, Chris. But it is small things like that. Another comment that stuck out to me, guys, right? Josh Vann. We're going to talk a lot about Josh Vann and what he did over the weekend and the way he's emerged, man. It's been incredible to see. But a comment that Josh Vann had that kind of made me stop and say, wow, things are changing. Things are changing here. When Josh Vann said, and I'm going to paraphrase just a little bit, but they asked him about, his performance and his performance thus far this season, and I guess kind of what he attributes it to and all that. And Josh Vann said that when Beamer was hired, he refound his love for the game of football. Guys, think how powerful a statement that is. He refound his love for the game of football. So that shows you two things. Number one, just how toxic and negative and terrible things were prior. But that also shows you, again, things are changing. Things are different under Shane Beamer. And again, I know none of us like what the scoreboard said on Saturday, but that's what you want to see. Things like that, hearing those comments, hearing what my buddy texted me about the way things are going down, those are the things, guys, you want to pick up on and hear in year one. Year one is a year to change the culture, instill your culture, have a well-coached football team, coach the hell out of these guys. We're seeing that early. That's the most encouraging thing to me, that, you know what? I believe in Shane Beamer. I believe Shane Beamer is going to win here. But you got to go get the Jimmies and Joes. You got to go recruit big-time ball players. Because I tell you what, guys, Georgia, they got a lot of big-time ball players. I mean, hell, Shane Beamer said it in his post-game on Saturday. He was frustrated a little bit. He said they got like 100 5-stars on the defense when he was asked about the Gamecocks' offensive ineptitude. Hey, they got like 100 5-stars, man. They got defensive linemen that run like wide receivers. Again, anyone who set expectations of the Gamecocks going out there and moving the ball methodically up and down the field, it's not on Shane Beamer. It's not on the football team and the players. It's on you. You're the problem. It's your fault you're upset, not theirs. You set improper expectations. Now, again, back to the field, of course. The big thing is this. Luke Doty. Zeb Nolan goes out early with his hand being stepped on, gets cut up, whatever, loses his feeling. We all know what happened. Insert Luke Doty. And I'll tell you this, guys, it's water under the bridge now. It is what it is. It happened. I said before the game, though, when Zeb Nolan was named starter, if Luke Doty's not healthy enough to start, then he should not play. And so that is the one thing I'll say. I don't really understand the decision-making, other than maybe they're thinking to themselves, okay, let's just get Luke Doty as much rest as we possibly can. We'll roll with Zeb Nolan this week, and then we're going to bring Luke back for Kentucky or whenever. I don't know. I trust Shane Beamer, guys. Like I told you, I trust Shane Beamer 110%. I'm not necessarily questioning Shane Beamer, but I am expressing from the fan side of things. I understand why fans were confused. Either way, it's water under the bridge now because Luke Doty, insert Luke Doty, and he did play on Saturday night. Anybody who is debating, again, you are entitled to your opinion. I respect that everyone is allowed to have their own opinion. But anyone who watches this team and watches Luke Doty and watches what Zeb Nolan has done and watches when Jason Brown comes in or anybody else, anybody who sits there and watches this football team and does not think still that Luke Doty is this team's best option, I mean, I got nothing for you. I think you're clinically insane. Like, was Luke Doty perfect on Saturday? No, he was not. Absolutely not. Does he still have a ways to go as a passer? Yes, he does. But guys, especially with what's going on up front, which I'm going to get into in just a second, with what's going on up front, Luke Doty's the guy he's the only guy on your offense that gives you a chance at the quarterback position. Again, you look at the statistics, 13 of 26, threw a touchdown, threw a pick. Hey, threw for 153 yards on a pretty damn good Georgia defense. In rushing, he ran the ball 6 times for 16 yards. Escaping pressure and making things happen with his legs when he's probably, maybe, not even fully 100% yet on that ankle. Guys, it's a no-brainer. It's a no-brainer that Luke Doty is this football team's best option. It's not even close. Again, I'm not sitting here telling you that Luke Doty doesn't have a ways to go in the passing game. But hey, I thought Luke Doty couldn't throw the deep ball, guys. That's what I was told all offseason. I mean, Doty threw some dimes. Put some respect on Luke Doty's name right now. For everyone that told me all preseason long he can't throw, I think there's some people out there, guys, that just want to dislike Luke Doty. I don't know what, because I don't understand it. I really, truly don't understand it at this point. I mean, there were some plays that Luke Doty made sliding up in the pocket, right? Making things happen when there was pressure, because there were tons of pressure. Please take that into account when you're talking about Luke Doty's performance on Saturday night. And we'll learn a lot more about Luke Doty probably this weekend when he probably gets the start against Kentucky. But Luke Doty, guys, I told you, you're going to have to be dynamic offensively. At some point, you're going to have to be. The defenses are too good. Georgia's defensive line and their defense as a whole, they're just too good. They're too good to drop back 3 or 5 steps and have a statue in the pocket. They're too good. They're too good. And Luke Doty gives you a chance with his athletic ability. Also, by the way, guys, like I said, he can throw the football. We saw it multiple times. We saw the deep ball from Luke Doty. We saw the downfield pass. And that's certainly a positive you take away from this football game. You saw the downfield pass. But everybody on Twitter told me he couldn't throw. Right. So Luke Doty's QB1 moving forward. There's no question. I don't think you can go back to Zeb Nolan. I think, listen, you hand Zeb Nolan the clipboard back and say, hey, man, appreciate you. Thank you so much for everything you've done. This is Luke Doty's team. Give him back the keys. It's over. It's done. So Zeb Nolan closed the chapter. It's done. Who knows? I'm not Shane Beamer. I'm not Marcus Satterfield. I'm not saying that's what's going to happen confirmed. But if it was me, I don't know how you can go back. Because here's the thing. If Luke Doty's healthy enough to play the entire game in Athens, how could he not be healthy enough to start against Kentucky in a game that is a huge game for South Carolina? How could he not? So it'll be interesting to follow that and see what Shane Beamer has to say about the quarterback position and if it's still a quote-unquote open competition or what Zeb Nolan's status is with his hand, whatever it might be. But, yeah, Luke Doty's QB1. We've been preaching that for weeks. We've been saying that forever. Luke Doty's QB1. And there's just no debate. There's no debate. You're entitled to your own opinion, but there's no debate. How about in that passing game, though, man? How about in that passing game, Josh Vann? I mean, the way he has emerged, the growth, we talked about guys in the preseason that there were going to be players who felt the greatest impact from a new culture and a new coaching staff and just a change overall in the program. I mean, Josh Vann's, to me, the guy that has developed and improved the most. And he's got to be the most improved Gamecock at this point. And again, the comment he had in postgame talking about he refound his love for the game of football. Josh Vann is looking like the guy we all thought he was going to be coming off the recruiting trail. High flying 4-star prospect at Tucker, Georgia. He's looking like that dude. You know what I mean? He's looking like that dude. And it's a beautiful sight to see. I mean, the guy's got speed. He's got athleticism, got good hands from what we've seen thus far. I mean, 3 catches for 128 yards and a touchdown. Those numbers say it all right there. I'm going to skip the offensive line, guys, and the running game. I'm going to come back to it. I promise you. I'm sticking with the positives right now. Your defensive line, I think we all agree, still filled with creatures, filled with athletes. Jalen Foster continues to emerge at his position in the secondary, play really, really good football for you. Guys, I don't even leave the Georgia game saying like, oh, our defense sucks. They're terrible. Again, you set improper expectations if you feel that way. Because anybody who actually thought South Carolina had a top 5 in the country defense was insane. They were crazy. You have to take into account the competition that you played against in EIU and ECU. Georgia was a different task. Georgia was a different challenge, okay? And JT Daniels, of course, played. They got really, really good players, guys, on the offensive side, too. They've got great running backs. They've got great receivers, 5-star on 5-star. They got a big old physical offensive line. And so I think what you saw defensively, those guys fought their asses off, by the way. Those guys fought their tails off defensively. I will tip my cap and give them that. But I think Saturday just kind of continued to reaffirm to me, we thought the secondary was going to be a deficiency and a question mark, if nothing else, coming in. And I still feel that way after the Georgia game. Are you as bad as what you saw Saturday against Georgia defensively? I don't think so, no. But I also don't think you're as good as what you saw in the first 2 weeks of the season. I think the truth lies somewhere in the middle of those two extremes. So there's talented pieces on that defense, of course, and it all starts up front. Jabari Ellis made big plays. Of course, JJ did. But Jabari Ellis, Darrell Ware, I heard his name a bunch of times. Damani Staley did a great job filling in, which, by the way, prayers up to Sherrod Green. And that was the biggest negative from Saturday night was the injuries. We heard about Cam Smith, his foot getting stepped on. Sherrod Green, obviously, I'd be shocked if he plays another down this year. Zeb Nolan, of course. But, those injuries, and especially at positions of need for South Carolina, like you cannot afford to lose anybody in the secondary at the linebacker position. But either way, outside of that, like I said, guys continue to fight their asses off on the defense. Mo Kaba made a big play. It was great to see him make a big play, a guy who I think's primed for a really big year. Maybe he can step up now in Green's absence. And are you improved in the secondary from last year? Yes. I still will say that, yes. But the secondary still has a ways to go, guys. And you just, with what you're working with, The only way you're going to fix that deficiency is in recruiting. Call it for what it is. And it's no knock on the guys we have now, guys. They're playing their asses off. And again, I think you are improved from a season ago, believe it or not. But you were no match for Georgia. You were no match for Georgia. Georgia had an offensive front. Georgia had an offensive line, which contrary to your offensive line, Georgia had an offensive line that gave their quarterbacks time, that opened massive holes. And even with as good as the Gamecocks defensive line is right now, guys, they're just not built and equipped to stop that Georgia football team. And let's give credit to Georgia, by the way, guys. I know you'll get tired of hearing it, but guys, that might be the best football team in the country. Literally, that might be the best team in the country, right? So there's that. But everything basically went, guys, how I thought it would go Saturday night. And I think, like I said, there were enough positives in the way that you played the football game. The fact you continue to fight, scratch, and claw. You didn't lay down. You didn't just let Georgia run away with it, because it looked like for a second there, they might, right? You didn't just let Georgia run away with it. You fought. You fought. And again, the mindset, the mentality that I wanted us to come in with and say, leave Georgia saying, and you know what? Yeah, we won by 27. We took care of our business, but Carolina made us battle. I mean, they made us fight, scratch, and claw. They made us earn every yard till the very end. And I think you did that for the most part. Again, I'm not trying to say, let's celebrate a 27-point loss. Obviously, you should not do that. But we played the game the right way. And again, in Shane Beamer's first year, guys, it's more so about how you play and seeing those indicators that, hey, the culture's changing. Things are changing, right? That the coaching staff is making a difference. Again, there's still way too many stupid penalties. And Shane Beamer pointed that out. I don't know how you fix that. I don't know. Guys, I can assure you, Shane Beamer is not sitting there telling them in practice, hey, get dumb penalties. I'll say this, by the way. In Josh Van's defense, that penalty on him for the taunting, that was the softest bullshit call I've ever seen. I mean, he absolutely mosses a guy. And he can't just turn around and say, hey, I got you. Got you, bitch. He can't turn around and say that. I mean, what are we watching? Then flag every defensive player when they make a tackle and they get up and flex. Because that's basically what Josh did. And I know like a professional, he took credit for it. He said, it can't happen. It's on me. That's not us. That's not me. Josh Van did nothing wrong. Again, that's a side note. I mean, SEC refs suck. We all get that. But a lot of good and a lot of positives did come out of Saturday night. Now, you guys are probably sitting there thinking, Chris, you're literally dancing around the biggest, maybe the number one thing people want to talk about. And I'm not, because I'm getting to it right now, because my biggest takeaway from this Saturday, right? Each and every single week, each and every single game, I give what my biggest takeaway from the game was. And I'm about to go in right now, because my biggest takeaway from Saturday, guys, this offensive line is now a confirmed deficiency for South Carolina. Until proven otherwise, this offensive line is a weak link. And that's not something I expected to be saying 3 weeks into the 2021 football season. I mean, guys, we're talking about a group that returned 4 of 5 starters and over 80 career starts from a line that paved the way for what Kevin Harris did a season ago. I don't need to remind you. You guys all know what happened, right? And while I know there were issues in pass protection a season ago, it didn't feel like it was just a free-for-all up there. You know what I mean? Like, who was it? Quarterback, I think, had a lot to do with it. There were other factors that I think went into it. But we gave these guys the benefit of the doubt after week 1, right? Oh, week 1, not the rust off, no big deal. After week 2, we said, oh, man, what happened? 2 bad weeks in a row. A lot of fans wanted to say, well, we'll rise to the occasion. We'll play up to our competition. That's what it was. We were just playing down to our competition. Guys, that was one of the worst performances I've ever seen from an offensive line ever. I mean, just flat out jailbreak on every single play. And you have a group of running backs that we've argued all preseason how great they are, and that they're one of the best running back cores in the entire SEC. And those guys specifically, they are. 8 rushing yards at halftime. 8. How does that happen with the stable of backs you have? Luke Doty, I mean, there was a moment, guys, I was like, maybe we should just take Luke Doty out because he's going to get killed. He's going to get killed. I mean, the play that stands out, you know what, I'm going to call him out. I don't care. Jalen Nichols. Georgia, I don't know if it was a blitz, whatever. I can't specifically remember, but they send a guy, and Jalen Nichols, the ball is hiked. He just sticks his arm out there and pulls it back, and the Georgia defender just runs right past him. I understand a new scheme, guys. I get it. I get it's a new scheme. I get it's a new system. I get they have a new offensive line coach. But holy shit, what is going on up front? Because this is unacceptable. It's unacceptable. I mean, this is supposed to be the strength of your offense and one of the strengths of your football team. I graded this unit, guys, a B+ in the preseason. I mean, I thought this would be a part of the game you could really lean on. And instead, we're waking up here on a Monday. We're going into Kentucky saying, God, this might be our biggest weakness. I mean, hell, how are we going to stop anybody this year? Again, the only positive is that you say, well, we still have to have talented players, right? Because it's the same guys from last year. So who does it fall on? Well, if you have the talent, you have the players, does it fall directly on coaching? Is it on Greg Atkins? Is it on Satterfield? I don't know. Guys, I don't know. I can't really answer that question. I don't know. But something's got to get fixed this week. I understand Georgia's got a fantastic front seven. They got a great defensive line. I mean, Jordan Davis is a freak of a human being. I mean, they've got guys, their defensive linemen, like I said, guys, they run like wide receivers. I get it, man. Credit Georgia. But I don't give a damn who you are playing. What we saw on Saturday night, that cannot happen. Cannot happen. And I had John Strickland, friend of the show, former Gamecocks offensive lineman, texting me saying the same thing. Again, Georgia is very good, and they did a lot, but a lot of what happened was on us and the way we were playing. Looked soft at times, looked scared. Tucked the tail between the legs. I mean, I don't get it. I don't get it. And South Carolina's not going to get to a bowl game with an offensive line blocking like that. This is a football team that has to run the football. I mean, it's insane to me. It's ridiculous that you can have the type of backs you have and have 8 rushing yards at halftime. 8, guys. And for the second straight week, you finish with 2.8 yards per carry. That's not going to get it done. That is not going to get it done. So I don't know if it's you got to change up personnel. I don't know if you got to simplify some things in regards to the scheme. Guys, I don't know what it is. I don't know what you have to do, but something's got to change this week. And I know Shane Beamer, went off on his rant after the game, and he's right. They got like 105 stars on defense. But I think the point that, we're all trying to make in regards to the frustrations of the offensive line, Coach, this is not just a Georgia game thing. This has been all season. The offensive line has looked like dog shit all year, and it's got to stop right now. It has to stop right now, and everybody's got to take it personal. Everybody's got to take it personal because guess what, guys? And we're going to talk about more later this week. You're coming into a Kentucky game. You've lost 6 or 7 of the Cats. And one of the biggest reasons, if not the number one reason why you've lost 6 or 7 of them, because they have physically whipped you at the point of attack. They have whipped you on the line of scrimmage. And so the question this week is, are we going to go out there and get physically whipped again for the 4th straight game? Or is something going to change and we're going to go out there and we're going to be the enforcers on the offensive line? We're going to whip the man across from us against the Cats because you're going to have to. You're going to have to win that football game. You're going to have to run the football. South Carolina is not going to be able to continue to, rush for 2.8 yards per carry, less than 100 yards in the game, and win anything of substance this season. But again, overall, outside of the offensive line, because I still am just beyond comprehension how we can be so bad on the O-line with the players we have. The game Saturday went basically as I expected. It went as I expected. Georgia's just better than you guys, top to bottom, every position unit basically. They're better than you. And that's okay, guys. Jimmy's and Joe's. Players win football games. Coaches lose. So give Shane Beamer time, guys. Let him build. He's going to go out there. He's going to go on the recruiting trail. He's going to get good football players. He's going to get football players that can compete in a football game like the one you just played on Saturday. But the reality is right now, you don't have them. You don't have them. You can blame Beamer. You can blame Satterfield. You can blame Clayton White. You can kick and scream and bitch and moan and blame God and be upset. Everybody hates your team. You just don't have the players. You just don't have the players. You got to give Shane Beamer time to build, guys. You got to give him time. Things are changing for the better. If you read between the lines, you can see that. You can see that. Things are changing for the better. So trust in Shane Beamer. Trust in your head football coach. Take it on the chin while you got to. It's okay. It's going to happen a lot. Georgia's going to beat a lot of teams this year, guys. Hey, lines just came out. They're a 31-point favorite against Vandy. Georgia's going to beat a lot of teams this year the way they beat South Carolina. So don't take it personal. Keep building, keep growing. Let Shane Beamer do his damn thing, and we'll keep it moving going into a huge week and a huge weekend for the Gamecocks. All right, let's hand out some TSUS game balls, ladies and gents, which, again, by the way, I post these on social media, and I know a lot of you are like, what about this guy? What about that guy? What about that guy? There's a lot of guys that normally deserve game balls. I try to switch it up week to week. So, again, if your pick doesn't get picked, hey, I'm not trying to slight them or anything, but I normally pick 3, maybe 4, normally 3, though, that I want to give game balls to. And I want to start. My first game ball is going to go to Luke Doty. I just think coming into the situation he was thrust into, probably didn't even expect to play. You know, I think if nothing else, guys, he gives this offense that spark it is missing. He's not a perfect football player. I mean, he's not. He's not. But especially with what he has to work with, what is around him, and God, that sorry excuse of an offensive line, what they're doing right now, protecting him, if that's, you can even call it that anymore. I think Luke Doty played his ass off. I think Luke Doty actually played really, really well. Again, he made a lot of people look silly that said he can't throw the ball down the field. He can't throw the deep ball. Well, looked like he dropped in some freaking dimes to me, my guy. Looked like he dropped in some beauties. Doty dimes, right? Had a hell of a day. Again, 13 of 26. He had the pick, but he also had the long touchdown. 153 yards passing against arguably the best defense in all of college football. I'll take that. I'll take that every day of the week. So, again, give Luke Doty credit, man. Credit to him for, again, coming into a raucous environment. By the way, guys, Sanford was shaking, coming into a raucous environment and getting the job done for South Carolina in the sense of, you know, at least giving you spark and giving you a hope offensively. I know you lost the football game. And, again, did Doty make some questionable decisions? Yes. Yes, he did. But, guys, you were outmanned at every position. I can't imagine the amount of times Luke Doty dropped back and, hey, where are you supposed to go with the ball? Everybody's covered. And, hey, Jordan Davis is breathing down your neck. Where are you supposed to go? So, again, is he a perfect player? No, he's not a perfect player. He's going to make some decisions, I think, still. He's a young guy. He's basically a freshman. He's going to make plays where it's like, oh, what is he thinking there? But you cannot deny the athleticism and the game-breaking nature and the dynamic element that he brings to the offense. So my first game ball goes to Luke Doty. Second game ball, and this is a guy, hey, I've been harsh, critical of. Fans have been very critical of. But his catch Saturday night, one of the best catches you will ever see. It reminded us a lot of Brian Edwards in 2019 at Tennessee. Jalen Brooks gets a game ball this week. Again, you look at the overall stat sheet, nothing crazy. I mean, 3 catches for 54 yards. But that catch he had on the sideline, I mean, guys, that's one of the best you'll ever see. That is one of the best you will ever see. So, again, shout out Jalen Brooks. What a hell of a catch. Give him a game ball. My final game ball, guys, goes to Jalen Foster. Jalen Foster, another incredible game, 2 interceptions. What is that total now? I think 4 picks for him? Is that right? Does he have 4 interceptions now? Which, by the way, thank you so much, Georgia, for just putting in Stetson Bennett for what I don't know why they did that. I have no idea. I want to get this number right. Defensively, let's see. Jalen Foster, 3 interceptions on the year thus far. I mean, this dude is absolutely balling out. So credit Jalen Foster, man. You know, call it right place, right time, call it good coaching, whatever, you know, call it being a great player. He's getting the job done either way in the back end for the Gamecocks. So again, game ball goes to Jalen Foster, a pair of picks in Saturday night's game against the Georgia Bulldogs. Now, let's get into Slapdick of the weekend. I've been looking forward to this one all show, guys. Looking forward to this one all show because you knew it was going to happen at some point. You knew it was going to happen at some point, right? Some idiot in Shane Beamer's first year was going to watch a South Carolina game, it not go their way, and say something stupid. And you know what? It happened. And you kind of saw it coming. I knew it would. But the Slapdick of the weekend, we go to the streets of Twitter. And at Red Army 199. At Red Army 199. When he tweeted this at 8:26 p.m. on his Twitter account. He said, and I quote, F. Beamer, these boys aren't anywhere close to ready. Fire him tonight. Yes, our first Fire Beamer tweet of the Shane Beamer era. In the third game. He then followed it up, by the way, guys, 12 hours later and said, so many Gamecock fans got so mad at me at this. We have the softest fan base in the country. I was clearly effing around. He also, by the way, and he deleted this one, obviously. He deleted this one. But he said something, and I'm paraphrasing because he deleted it, but he said something late Saturday night after the initial tweet of like, it was obviously a joke. Y'all's girls are ugly or something. Red Army 199, sir, you are the slapdick of the weekend because not only did you say something stupid, you said Fire Beamer, which is like the dumbest thing you could say right now, but you got exposed for it because I'm sure he didn't expect that, right? I mean, 519 followers. I'm sure he didn't expect anybody to even see it. But they did, and we did. And he got exposed for it. He got called on it. And he tried to backtrack. Bro, just double down. Just double down at that point. Just double down. And if you were joking, like, have a feel. Read the room. Saying Fire Beamer and not putting like a LOL in there anywhere or anything, that wasn't tweeted like a joke, bro. That wasn't tweeted like a joke. So again, I'm sure there are many candidates out there of people that were saying things during the game on Saturday night. But hey, you know what? Red Army 199 on Twitter. You drew the short straw. So again, Red Army 199 on Twitter. You are the slapdick of the weekend. Congratulations. Add that to your Twitter bio. Finally, guys, let's get into our Cock of the Walk award, our weekly Cock of the Walk award, which is basically like our game MVP. And this has to go to me, guys, to one guy and one guy only. And that is Gamecocks wide receiver, Josh Vann. Josh Vann, and what an incredible transformation he's gone through as a player. Again, like I told you, I think he's the most improved Gamecock thus far, and it's not even close. 3 catches, 128 yards, 1 touchdown, those long ones down the field, and really has separated himself. It's not even close. He separated himself as the number one option and the number one wide receiver for the Gamecocks on the outside. It's been incredible, man. Credit Shane Beamer, credit Justin Stepp, his position coaches. I think those guys have all done an incredible job getting the most out of Josh Vann, guys. Like I told you, former 4-star prospect out of Tucker, Georgia, somebody I was really excited about when he committed to South Carolina and just kind of came on campus and sort of disappeared. And again, to hear the comments from Josh Vann, I refound my love of the game of football and to see him making plays, it's incredible. It's awesome. So again, now the question is, can you find a second wide receiver? But incredible performance Saturday night in Athens in a raucous environment, in a hostile environment, to win his one-on-one matchups on the outside. He had that fantastic catch as well when he got the BS taunting penalty, whatever. But a hell of a night for Josh Vann. So again, our Cock of the Walk award for the Gamecocks game against Georgia, wide receiver Josh Vann, 3 catches, 128 yards, a touchdown, a phenomenal night for the Gamecocks number one receiver. So again, guys, that's going to do it for our breakdown of the Gamecocks game against Georgia. Of course, much more coming this week on the Daily Crow on our podcast tomorrow. You guys know the drill. But again, a tough night for the boys, a tough night on the scoreboard. But if you read between the lines, I feel positive things are happening. I feel the culture is changing. And there are enough positives from that game on Saturday. There are enough positives that happened that you can pull things from that football game and you can carry them over and you can build and you can get better and you can carry that into a huge game this upcoming weekend against the Kentucky Wildcats. Guys, let's talk news and notes really quickly, and then we'll get into your listener questions and your voicemails because there are a lot of them. First things first, I just want to point this out. I know a lot of people have been asking me. Right now I'm recording this midday Sunday, so we're still waiting on the statuses of Zeb Nolan, Cam Smith, and Sherrod Green. Have no new updates on them. But, guys, I would have to say Sherrod Green's probably going to be out for the season or at least close to it. Cam Smith, of course, got his foot stepped on, what is up with our guys and getting stepped on? Like, how does that happen? So Cam Smith re-aggravating that foot. You have to hope and pray and keep your fingers crossed that he's going to be available this weekend because Will Levis for Kentucky, they can throw it around a little bit. And not having your number one option in the secondary, no bueno. As far as Zeb Nolan, again, what is his status? I think there's no turning back now, though. You're rolling with Luke Doty no matter what. That's just my opinion. I'm not Shane Beamer, though. I don't make the decisions, but that's what I would do. So, again, we're waiting on the statuses of those guys. Also, guys, on the Vegas side of things, Gamecocks open as a 5-point underdog to the Kentucky Wildcats. And I tell you what, guys, I'm getting a little too good at this. And what I mean by that is this. I had multiple buddies text me on Sunday morning. Hey, man, what do you think the line's going to be? I think it's South kind of favored by 1. I think it's a pick 'em. And I was like, I genuinely, guys, I could show you the text. I said, I think it's going to be Kentucky as a 4.5 or a 5-point favorite. I think because the Cats are 3-0. I know Kentucky didn't look good on Saturday, but the Cats are 3-0. They're 1-0 in SEC play, just because of who they feature on their roster. I thought Kentucky's going to be the favorite. I thought there's no doubt Kentucky's going to be the favorite. I'm sorry, but a 27-point loss to Georgia is not going to win you favor over in Vegas, and all of a sudden you're the favorite in the game. So, hey, take it for what it's worth. The game's not played in a casino, right, guys? It's not played on paper, and it's not played in a casino. Gamecocks, who are, by the way, 3-0 against the spread this season. Good teams win, great teams cover. But the Gamecocks are 3-0 against the spread, and they open up as a 5-point underdog against the Kentucky Wildcats. So do with that information what you will. And I'll leave it at that. And of course, guys, we're talking South Carolina, Kentucky all week this week, getting you ready for kickoff on Saturday. All right, let's get into your listener questions and your voicemails, guys. Of course, we will start with the voicemails. Here we go.
With regards to the Georgia game, it's pretty simple. I saw a lot of things to like. I saw a lot of things, not to like, but this is still very early in Shane Beamer's tenure. And I remember the early days of the Spurrier era, watching our O-line get pushed around. I mean, I think until we got Marcus Lattimore, the short throw was effectively our running game. And I'm not too worried about that if they don't put it together by the end of this year. But a lot of this is going to come down to recruiting. You've got a lot of good O-line commits, O-line prospects coming up, and you've got to bring them in and coach them up because our running backs are too good and our defensive front is too good for our O-line to be pushed around like this. So I haven't lost faith. I was totally expecting this to be a loss. Georgia's arguably the best team in the nation right now. It's looking like it's going to be Alabama, Georgia for the national championship, even after they play for the SEC. So I would not be surprised if that's the case, and that doesn't bother me at all. This one was on the schedule as an L from jump, and I think we were all just hoping to see something we could grab onto. Doty can throw the deep ball. That's good. He's mobile. That's good. The defensive front is nasty. That's really good. They're still making picks when there's situations to make picks. That's also good. So I still have hope. I'm still going to be a Gamecock fan for life, even if it puts me in an early grave because of the steady rise in blood pressure every Saturday night. But all I can say is that one sucked, but on to Kentucky, and we need to beat Kentucky at home under the lights at Williams-Brice. Go Cox.
Great stuff, man. Great voicemail. That was awesome. A lot of great points there. I agree with you in a lot of different things you said. Again, this one was expected to be an L. There's no other way to put it. I mean, you looked at this 2021 schedule, and when I gave my predictions and I picked Georgia the loss, nobody balked at it, right? Nobody said, "Oh, Chris, what are you talking about? We're definitely going to win that football game." I think most of us knew what to expect going in that football game. But like you said, a lot of positives, a lot of things you can grab onto from this football game that you mentioned. So that's all you really wanted to come out of the football game and also play the game the right way, which you did. Again, very interesting comparison to the early days of the Spurrier era. Hey, people forget in Spurrier's first year, you went on the road, you lost to Auburn 48-7. You also got blown out against Alabama. So it wasn't all sunshine and rainbows in Steve Spurrier's first year either. Again, be patient with Shane Beamer. Give him time to build. And if you do, guys, I think we're going to come out on the other side of it very, very happy with the final result. All right, let's get into our next voicemail.
Hey, Chris. So I had to call after this one. It's a tough game. You're outmanned. You just outclassed, up and down the field. But to be honest, I saw a lot of positive things tonight. I saw Luke Doty command this football team. People are going to have their opinion, but I think Luke Doty is the starter going forward. I don't think there's any question. Some beautiful passes out there. Josh Fan is wide receiver one, heck of a night. Got to have composure after he makes that big catch, although I think it was a little ridiculous penalty. That's beside the point. Jalen Brooks with the catch of the night. Offensive line, good God. Georgia's defensive front is the best in the country, right? We knew that going in. We knew the offensive line were going to struggle, but my God, how many plays did you see guys just miss? Just totally miss. And that that can't happen. The offensive line has got to improve. There were plays that, like, the ball was snapped and there was just somebody in Luke's face immediately. Jason Brown comes in for one play. He was on the run as soon as he caught the snap. The running backs couldn't get anything going because of this. They get the ball, there'd be somebody in their face. It was just, I know Georgia's defensive front is really good. We know this, but the offensive line has got to figure it out. Defensively, the secondary just, it's what you said and what I knew going into it. But the guys hung in there. They never quit. They didn't lay down. I saw positive things tonight. It's a 27-point loss. It is what it is. But let's come out next week. Luke Doty, your starting quarterback, and let's try to get a win over Kentucky. Go Cops.
Tim, great stuff, man. As always, appreciate you calling in. Yeah, first things first, what you said about Luke Doty leading the football team. I agree with you. Again, he's undisputed QB1. No further conversation needed. That's how I feel about it. But yeah, I've said it many, many times in regards to the quarterback position. If you don't have a quarterback, you don't have a chance. Well, if you don't have an offensive line that's any better than South Carolina's is, you also do not have a chance. I don't care who you have at receiver, who you have at running back, who you have at quarterback, who you have at tight end. If you can't block and give guys time and open holes, I mean, you got to have that. You got to have that's the foundation of your offense, right? Those big five uglies up front. If they're not on it, it's going to be a long year. So I agree with you, Tim, 110%. You got to figure it out up front. That's got to be the number one priority for everyone involved with Gamecocks football and specifically that offense, getting that offensive line figured out, because you've got to figure that out. You got to get that figured out immediately.
What's up, Chris? It's Will from Denver. Just got done watching the game. Honestly, pretty not displeased or not pleased. I'm really happy with the way we finished up. Obviously, outmatched at every position out there. But I really like the way we battled out there. Really big concern is the offensive line. I mean, we can't even run the ball. I mean, last year we could run block pretty well. Pass blocking was a different story, but this year it's a whole new ball game, and I just kind of want to get your take on what do you think is the problem with the offensive line? Is it a new scheme? And there's nobody on that offensive line that's a newbie. We got a lot of experience on the line, so kind of just wondering where the disconnection is. But still proud of the way we played, and go Cox.
Yeah, I mean, great stuff. I mean, I know it's a new scheme. I know it's a new system. I know Georgia's really good. I totally understand all those points. But again, if it was just a one-game sample, if it was just one game and you had blocked pretty well the first two games, you'd say, tip your cap, man. Georgia's just that good. But that's not the case. They've been terrible for all three games. They've been bad all three games. So, hey, again, you can blame the system. You can blame the scheme. You got to get it figured out. There's no excuse to look that bad. No excuse at all to look as bad as those guys did on Saturday.
Hey, man. Jack here, USC 2019. Obviously, I wasn't impressed with the way the game played out, but we're going against the number 2 team in the country. You'd like to see them keep it competitive, but, I mean, I was at a viewing party. People were talking about, Beamer's not the guy. I say, shut the hell up. It is game 3, of our full season. Give the guys some time to build this program out. I'm still optimistic. Always in. Go Cox.
Love it. Well said. Short and to the point. Shut the hell up if you're questioning Shane Beamer at this point. Yeah. Again, guys, if you're kicking and screaming and you're really blaming Beamer, you set horrid expectations going in this game. So you got to go recruit. You got to go build. You got to go get really, really good football players. It takes big-time ball players to win a game like that. You don't have the Alshon Jeffries and the Swearingers and the Lattimores and the Clownies. You don't have those guys anymore right now. You can go get them, but you don't have them. But you got to go get those type of players to win a game like you played on Saturday night. All right, last voicemail, and then we're getting your listener questions and our conversation with Mike Gillespie.
Hey, man, this is Bradley Kane calling in to, I guess, eat my crow. But the whole game changed when Deb Nolan got hurt. That's just my personal opinion. You wanted Doty so bad, you got him. Doty's a younger quarterback. He made a bunch of mistakes. It cost us dearly. I felt like we were sparring with him at the very beginning.
I'm not disagreeing with you that Georgia has better athletes, but at the same time, I just feel like the fight would have been better with Nolan in there. Obviously, he couldn't come back with a cut hand, so he couldn't feel nothing. I also do believe at this point now that Doty will probably stay in there and keep building on the team. I like the fight that I've seen in them. Late score looked good. They didn't give up. Obviously, they believe in what Beamer's teaching them. So, we move on to Kentucky. I watched the Kentucky game earlier. I don't think they look very good. I think we got a real good shot at beating them. In fact, I do think we will beat them, especially with the fight that I seen at the end of the game at Georgia, because when we scored the touchdown, we definitely scored on the first-team defense. I don't know if you noticed that. Either way, though, yeah, I was wrong, but I still bet on the spread and I won money, so it is what it is. Have a nice night, man. I'll talk to you Monday.
Bradley Kane, appreciate you calling in. You're right. Good teams win, great teams cover. But I want to unpack some things Bradley just said. If you guys don't know what Bradley's talking about in regards to calling in and eating crow, which, hey, I wanted Bradley to be right, but he was convinced that South Carolina was going to lose 31-28. But Bradley, you just said the complexion of the game changed when Zeb Noland went out. So what you are insinuating, Bradley, and hey, we're going to talk about this on the Daily Crow, I'm sure. I know we will for a fact. And I'm sure Bradley will call in. Totally respect Bradley's opinion, by the way, and I love the banter. The beauty's in the banter. But, guys, anybody who thinks Zeb Noland is the best option at quarterback for this team is clinically insane. I mean, how can you look at these two guys play and say to yourself, man, if Zeb Noland would have stayed in, we'd have had a lot better chance to win. Guys, Luke Doty was running for his life. What would have happened to Zeb Noland? I mean, hell, on one hand, thank God his hand got stepped on, because Zeb Noland would have gotten killed. He would have gotten killed. I don't think South Carolina sees the end zone. I understand Zeb Noland can throw a deep ball. We saw it early in the game. That's great. That's awesome. That's awesome. But again, am I saying Luke Doty's a perfect option back there? Am I saying that he's a perfect player? No, I'm not. But dude, I genuinely cannot fathom how you look at this football team and you look at our strengths, our weaknesses as an offense. How do you look at that and then say Zeb Noland is the best option for us and gives us the best chance to win? Maybe we'll talk about it this week, Bradley. I don't know, but I don't see it. Again, I wish your prediction of 31-28 would have happened. We all got to eat crow at some point. They were just better than you, Bradley. That's it. Try to tell you all week. They're just better than you. That's, it is what it is. It is what it is. Like I said, I wish your prediction would have came true, but if Zeb Noland would have not gotten hurt, that would have not changed a damn thing, in my opinion. I think you still probably lose by 4 touchdowns. Zeb Noland would have made no difference. We'll just leave it at that. All right, let's get into our listener questions and we'll get into our conversation here. Jay Painter 71, is it too early to fire the O-line coach? O-line looks lost. Greg Atkins, you got to get your shit together. Because I tell you what, if the O-line looks like this all season, something's going to have to change, my guy. Something's going to have to change. Sunrise once. We got 13 when the Taters got just 3 on Georgia. We did. Hey, we did. So we're better than Clemson. I mean, duh. At least we covered the spread. Landon K, initial thoughts. O-line needs a lot of work. Doty threw some very catchable balls, though. Yeah, I agree. Spot on. Andrew, the textbook, says beat the point spread and scored an offensive touchdown against the Dogs. I'm satisfied with the game. Yeah, a lot of positives to take away from the game. Let's see. Maddie last 523 says we're still undefeated because Muschamp isn't our coach. Growing pains are going to happen. There you go. Look at the positives. David Barnes 76. Even though it was ugly, I'm encouraged and optimistic about UK next week. Yeah, and that's, again, guys, that was the number one goal. Come out of this game still with positivity and optimism going into that game this upcoming weekend. Thomas Wade, is there a chance we could play Clemson next week instead of Kentucky? Because of how they looked over the weekend. Hey, whatever. KJ Gonzalez, guys fought hard tonight. Doty's QB1. Got to eliminate the dumb penalties. I agree. Penalties continue to be an issue. You got to eliminate the dumb penalties. Bick Mitch 48. Besides the penalties in the O-line, Doty looked good when he had time. I agree. Look at when he had time. Doty actually, when he could step into a throw, I thought he looked good. Last question. Brendan Smith 47. I know we got beat, but Josh Vann equals a problem For defenses, yeah. He's most certainly emerged as your number one option on the outside and guy that you can depend on as, I think, a week-to-week playmaker for us. No question. But again, guys, appreciate the comments, appreciate the voicemails, appreciate you guys interacting with the show, and always, always, always bringing it here on a Monday. Now, we have a fantastic conversation. Friend of the show does a fantastic job for ABC Columbia. Mike Gillespie has obviously joined me on the airwaves before. He's joined me at 10 Roof, and he joins me here on this Monday on the 500th episode of the Spurs Up show to, again, talk about everything that happened over the weekends, guys, with the Georgia game. We also talk SEC football, his team, the Florida Gators, the outlook of the SEC. We even talk about maybe this is the end of the Clemson dynasty. And, of course, we look forward to the game this weekend against the Kentucky Wildcats. Again, guys, it's always a phenomenal conversation with Mike Gillespie of ABC Columbia. So, again, I appreciate Mike taking the time. And, guys, and I appreciate you all taking the time to tune in. That's going to do it. Put a wrap on it, folks. The 500th episode officially in the books, guys. Thank you all so much. I'm extremely grateful for each and every single one of you guys. Thank you all so much for tuning in. Now, enjoy this conversation with Mike Gillespie of ABC Columbia. All right, joining us today on the Spurs Up show, guys. Very excited. Friend of the show, of course, as you know, he's been the sports director at ABC Columbia since 2016, a Gators alum, of course. So, you know, we're going to talk SEC football, including that crazy Florida-Bama game yesterday, but bringing him on really to talk South Carolina, Georgia, look ahead to this weekend as the Gamecocks host the Kentucky Wildcats in a huge matchup at Williams-Brice Stadium. But again, friend of the show, always a pleasure to chat with him. Chatted with him on here on the airwaves, also at 10 Roof. Mike Gillespie. Mike, I appreciate you taking the time, my friend. And also, before we get going, a little bit of a side note. I don't know if you knew this. This interview is going to be attached onto the Monday show, of course. We're talking on Sunday afternoon, the show that will drop on Monday. Monday is our 500th episode officially. So I appreciate you being the guest that is accompanying that
That's
episode.
awesome.
My friend, Mike, appreciate you taking the time, man. I'm looking forward to chatting with you. What's going on?
No, absolutely. Happy to be here. And you didn't tell me this before we got on air.
I wanted to spring it on you as a surprise. So
that's awesome. I need to get you a foot or like a microphone. Instead of a football, it'll be a
golden microphone. Yeah.
The golden microphone at the 500th show. I'm going to do that.
Well, like I told you, I just retired my old microphone that I probably used for 400 of the 500 episodes. We got the brand new mics. This is also the first interview or conversation, if you will, with the new microphone. So we're upgrading, we're evolving here with TSUS. But again, man, seriously, I appreciate you taking the time for real.
What did I do to deserve this? I feel like I'm like one rung below the other mic in the market. So like what
I tell you, I don't know, Mike. I'll say this: sometimes you're just right place, right time, aka Will Muschamp. So, and I hate to put you in his category, but sometimes you're just sometimes fortune just finds you. You're right place, right time. Unfortunately, though, you're not getting paid $13 million. So
no,
sorry.
Not quite. Only 12.5 this year.
Yeah, for sure. Well, Mike, again, of course, we're going to talk Gamecocks. Before we do, though, man, I'll just go ahead. Let's just jump into the SEC conversation because, of course, you're a Florida guy, and we're talking on Sunday, so things are still very fresh. The Gators almost had Bama, man. I know all of us were watching that game. Of course, that was the 3:30 CBS game. It really was the game of the day. You know, the slate yesterday, I thought the noon games were kind of sleepers, and, of course, we were all looking forward to Florida-Bama, but Gators fall down early, 21-3. Nick Saban, the machine. I literally texted a good buddy of mine, Brad Crawford, and I said, man, how does Bama just keep doing it? Like, I understand Saban's great. I understand they get the best players, but I'm like, how do they never fall off? And then, of course, that moment, Florida storms all the way back, loses that game really, really close. But what do you think of your Gators yesterday in that football game? I think Florida showed they might be a little bit better this year than some people were giving them credit for in the preseason.
Yeah, I mean, so number one, incredibly surprising outcome. I thought Bama was going to go in there. I didn't think that Bama would get off to the start that they did, just because I thought, you know, especially early when you looked at some of the offensive line issues that they were having, communication issues. I mean, 91,000 people in that place is just, I don't know if you've ever been down there.
I haven't yet. I'm planning on going next year when the Gamecocks go to the Swamp.
I have been to almost every SEC state. And of course I'm biased, but I mean, that place is like, you could be, you know, standing right next to somebody. You have no idea what they're saying when that place is going. And it really showed. I mean, they had to go to the silent count, you know, after a couple false starts, a couple offsides penalties on the defense. So I think the crowd really affected them early. I didn't expect Bama to get off to that kind of start, though, especially on that first drive where they just, methodical down the field. And I'm sitting there thinking to myself, well, This is what we've seen from Todd Grantham time and again. 3rd and Grantham, and they blitz, right? They blitz every time, dude. I mean, literally, I could play quarterback against a Todd Grantham coach defense on 3rd down. I can't play no other down but 3rd down because I know where the blitz is coming. It happens every time. Right. I think slowly it was kind of like that SEC championship game, right? I never felt like Florida was out of it. And I kind of predicted this earlier on in the week. I said, Florida's going to trail the entire game, but they're never going to be out of it. And that's exactly what happened. Florida overperformed in a lot of different areas. Defensively in the second half, especially. I mean, those adjustments were pretty phenomenal. I mean, they finally were able to stop the run. They put a lot more pressure on Bryce Young. And I also think they stuck with the run game, which, in the past, Mullen, we all know, loves to throw the football. They ran the ball 44 times, which is pretty ridiculous. Now, that's great and all. You're not going to beat Georgia running the ball 44 times. You might be able to beat Alabama. By the way, I think Georgia is the best team in the country. Let's just go ahead and put that out there, especially what I saw from Alabama yesterday. I think Georgia's the most buttoned up. I think they have the best talent defensively, which we all know in college football, I think is the most important thing these days in being able to stop these ridiculously explosive offenses. So I was really, really impressed. There is nothing more indicative, though, of a Florida-Alabama matchup than Florida missing an extra point, having to go for 2 at the end, running almost the same play that you've run the entire second half on that 2-point conversion, and then not getting it. So again, I expect Florida to jump in the polls, whether they're a top 10 team. I don't know, because I don't think you can win games being one-dimensional. And Emory Jones, man, I mean, look, like he had a phenomenal second half, but it's the easy throws. It's like there was I think there was a pass to Dameon Pierce. It was a screen pass, easy 5-yard throw. Jones throws it in the dirt. And, it's like he's phenomenal on the run, throwing the ball. I mean, he made some incredible throws yesterday. One to Copeland, back shoulder. I mean, it kept him in the game, really, but it's just sort of the easier throws that he's having a hard time with. And, so long story short, not to babble on forever about Florida, but they did impress me. That they did. I mean, how can you not be impressed by just a 2-point loss to Alabama? But they still have some glaring weaknesses offensively. And, when it comes down to it, I don't think that's going to beat Georgia. And that's why Georgia eventually wins the East, in my opinion.
Now, a little bit of a side note here, Mike. I know Anthony Richardson was out with a hamstring yesterday, but I saw him doing a backflip in the pregame.
Yes.
How does that make any sense?
I don't know. I have no idea. I'm sitting there thinking to myself, like, I mean, okay. And by the way, the CBS telecast timed that perfectly. Okay. So whoever's directing that telecast, my buddy Andrew Suarez would know, like whoever's directing that telecast, it was perfect because, you go down to Jamie Erdahl, who's like, yeah, Anthony Richardson's not going to play. Mullen says he's, still dealing with hamstring tightness, and then cut to a backflip. Like, huh? What? And I don't know. I'm not sure. From a buddy of mine down there, Mullen has a lot of confidence in Emory. And listen, as a fan, I get it. Like we just talked about, the easy throws, he screws up a lot. He's not a terrific passer. Anthony Richardson has come in and given that offense a spark, but you know what? He doesn't understand the playbook as much as Jones does. And that could have been a huge problem against Alabama. So they rode with Jones, and look, it paid off. I mean, it was a 2-point loss. They were right in the game. They actually had the ball back with, 4 seconds left. Not that they were going to win the game, but they did have that last possession to win the game. So I don't think it was a terrible decision. Also, by the way, I don't remember, maybe you remember a time, but I don't remember a time that the SEC East has had so many quarterback injuries. Like South Carolina, Florida, Georgia, Tennessee, all in one division. Like it's crazy to me.
It is. It has been strange, especially so quickly. I mean, we're only 3 games in, so
really, really early. But as far as Anthony Richardson, he'll be back next week against Tennessee, who is a dumpster fire, by the way. No, I'm not kidding.
No, I agree.
Oh, dude, I mean, so a buddy of mine up there has told me Josh Heupel hates that team. There's no discipline on that team. And honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if they got boat raced in the SEC this year.
Yeah,
maybe a win against Vandy. But I think South Carolina, from what I've seen, South Carolina can certainly beat Tennessee. Georgia, they might actually have negative points at halftime. Seriously, like Tennessee, I honestly do think that this Saturday, South Carolina, Kentucky is the most important game of the year, because I do think Kentucky is right there in that pack with Georgia, Florida. And so if South Carolina can find a way to beat Kentucky, then I think there's a good chance they finish 3rd in the East this year, which is crazy to say after a 40-13 loss.
Yeah, that's absolutely. That's a great segue, Mike. You are right, because again, we got you on here to talk about the game that happened Saturday night between the hedges. I think, Mike, expectations are very important, whether it be in life, sports, relationships, business, no matter what it is. Yeah. I'm curious your thoughts on the game Saturday night. Again, Gamecocks falling 40-13 to Georgia. It was ugly at times. There were times where I really thought Georgia was going to pull away and make this thing even a bigger blowout than it was. Yeah. But when you look at the game, from what you were expecting from South Carolina, I'm curious, did South Carolina meet, fall short of, or exceed your expectations against the Dogs on Saturday night?
That's about what I expected. I think coming into the game,
32-point underdogs, 32-point underdogs. That was coming in the game.
Yeah, I mean, look, and the spread was 27 at the end. So I mean, I guess I don't know. I mean, they're not celebrating it obviously because that sucks. But at the end of the day, South Carolina performed about how I expected. I think I went into the game saying, number one, Carolina's going to lose, so let's just stay healthy. That did not happen. I think that is the worst part of that loss, because I think everybody knew that Carolina was going to lose to this year's Georgia team. The problem is now you're down your starting linebacker for maybe the rest of the season. That was an area of concern to begin with coming into the year. Now you're down a linebacker. Cam Smith, the best dude in the secondary, who knows what his status is moving forward. And, oh, by the way, Zeb Noland is now injured too. Yeah. And he was your starting quarterback coming into the game. So those 3 injuries are huge. I mean, it's not like we're just talking about, some backup offensive linemen. We're talking about 3 critical positions that got injured on Saturday night, and they can't get healthy fast enough, man. So I don't know, performance wise, they performed about as I expected. I didn't expect to see Luke Doty as much as we did. Of course, the Zeb injury had everything to do with that. I thought he would play a little bit. Didn't think that he would play as much, obviously. And he looked good. He settled in. I mean, he did. That one throw, I think, he had 2. One to Van, which was beautiful. The other one to Brooks, which made SportsCenter super cool. So, at the end of the day, like I said at the top of the podcast, like I think this Georgia team is the best in the country. I think they're going to go on to win the national title. So, a 27-point loss, 3rd game of the season, 3rd game under Shane Beamer. It's not terrible. This Saturday night is much, much more important in the grand scheme of things, I think.
Yeah. And Mike, great minds think alike because I picked Georgia to win the national title as well. And that's why, going in the game, of course, I picked a 38-7 final. And I really said after the game on Saturday night, I said to the fan base, if you're kicking and screaming and bitching and moaning and upset and you want to fire this guy and fire that guy and you're talking about how terrible this player is, that you set improper expectations. It's only on you, in my opinion, because if you look at it in the grand scheme of things, realistically, what Georgia brings to the table, the talent they have, and you heard Shane Beamer, of course, in the post game kind of went off on that. He's like, bro, they have like 105-star players. Like they have great players, and you're just not. Poor Ben. You're just not there yet, though. And I think Beamer obviously made the point. I want, as bad as I want to start with Luke Doty, because of course quarterback play is what everybody wants to talk about. Mike, I have to start offensive line. How shocking is it to you to watch this offensive line? You had 8 rushing yards at halftime, 8, and you finished up, 96 yards, I believe total. Yeah, 96 yards, but 2.8 yards per carry. I think I know for the second straight week, you're rushing for less than 3 yards per carry. I know you rushed for like 260 in week 1, but we still left that game feeling like, there was something left to be desired when it came to the offensive line. Now you're sitting here saying, okay, the offensive line is a weakness right now. And it's a position unit we all thought was going to be a strength with 4 or 5 guys coming back and over 80 career starts. I understand it's a new scheme. It's a new system. There's a new offensive line coach. But, how surprised are you, I guess, the offensive line, give Georgia credit. They have great players. But there were many moments Saturday night, what I saw, just unacceptable, man. Just guys sticking their arm out, not picking up an assignment. I thought Luke Doty was going to get killed. There were no holes all night long. Just your overall thoughts and takeaways from what you've seen from the O-line.
They've been overmatched, specifically on Saturday night. But again, look at what Georgia did to Clemson. I'm not making any excuses here, but look at what Georgia did to Clemson. That Georgia front 7 is the best in the country. So it's hard to gauge. And I understand what Beamer was trying to say, right, to Ben last night. But I think what Ben was trying to say is, okay, this has been an issue, though. Like, it's not just against Georgia. We saw it against ECU, too. So how concerning is this for you? And obviously, it's very concerning. But, I think they've underperformed. And, when you said it best, when we came into the season, it was a position group that we felt great about. It was a position group that had over 80, starts returning, and you had a lot of experience.
And what they did last year, paving the way for Kevin Harris. I think that's what gave you the most confidence with that group.
No, 100%. Absolutely. The run game, obviously the most powerful part of that offense last year. Offensive line had, a lot to do with that, obviously. But I do think it's important to remember that with a new scheme comes a lot of different challenges. And you saw it all across the board last night. At one point you had to carry on Joyner. I don't know if you saw this, barking away at, it may have been Shane. I'm not sure, but there was a lot of miscommunication there early. And, I think that's very indicative of a new offensive scheme that's, being installed. You have a lot of guys back on offense, but remember, these are guys who are used to the old scheme, which has changed 9 billion times, over the last 6 years for Carolina, obviously. So I think as they go along, they're going to find their groove. Again, I don't think that this is a true testament to how this offensive line is going to stack up at the end of the year, because they've got a lot of talent there. And again, Georgia is the best team in the country. And I think that's gotta be first and foremost when you bring up the offensive line's performance on Saturday night. There was a kind of one play that I don't know if this just shows Beamer's lack of confidence maybe in the O-line, but Carolina's got the ball at the 1 yard line, their own 1. And you have Doty taking the snap out of shotgun.
Yeah.
Like, huh? Yeah. Like, no, no. Like, I get it. They're the best front 7 in the country, but Brady that shit, like literally quarterback sneak 2 yards up the middle, like try to get some space there, for the love of God, get a fullback in there and run up the middle. Like, I don't care what you, or an H-back. Like, I don't care what you do. You can't have your quarterback who has not played in almost a year, who's still dealing with lingering symptoms of that foot injury, take a snap in his own end zone. I think that was the worst call that we've probably seen from Beamer so far in his tenure, to be honest.
Yeah. And it's something where Beamer, it's a learning experience for him too. Third all-time game as a head coach and on the road in Athens. And you kind of learn in those moments what to do and what not to do and what mistakes to make and not to make. And I'm sure certainly he'll look back on that one and say, hey, maybe I messed up. Yeah. You mentioned quarterback play, though, and Luke Doty. And it's crazy how it happened, Mike, obviously with Zeb Nolan getting his hand stepped on and Luke Doty coming in. And I will save the conversation because going in the game once Zeb Nolan was named starter, I said to my buddy, I said, I will be more upset if Luke Doty plays tonight, honestly, because in my opinion, if he's not healthy enough to start, he shouldn't be healthy enough to play. You know what I mean? Like if he cannot start, he should not play. Either way, though, water under the bridge. He did play. And I think you saw the reasons that somebody like I and many others have been clamoring for him. He gives this team the best chance to win. If nothing else, I thought the offense was 1,000 times more exciting to watch. And granted, he's still not perfect in the passing game, but I thought he made some beautiful downfield throws and he made some plays we kind of saw glimpses of last year where, obviously there's tons of pressure from the Georgia defense and he moves up in the pocket and he makes a throw and delivers a strike and gets the first down. And you saw his running ability a little bit last night. I think, like you said, Mike, with the lingering foot injury, he's probably still not 100% with his legs. But overall, just what you saw from Luke Doty, especially, being thrust into a really tough situation. I mean, again, on the road, I'm not even sure he probably expected to play. But he gets put out there on the road in Athens. I mean, a raucous crowd. Sanford was shaking last night. And I thought, for everything considered, Luke Doty was in an A-plus performance. No, but there's no doubt in anyone's mind, or there shouldn't be, that he is the best option for this football team, and it's not even close.
Yeah, I think so too. And, that's because of his ability to scramble. And he's just such a terrific athlete. I mean, I remember watching him as a junior in high school when he was playing for Myrtle. And I mean, the things that he was able to do, not only with his arm, but I mean, don't forget, he used to be a receiver. I mean, that's how talented this guy, and he was their number one receiver. So that's how talented this guy is. And I think it just kind of gives you his ability to extend plays, gives you a better chance. Obviously, I've always been a fan of a quarterback who can run. That's very Florida of me to say, obviously, like, Urban had so much success with those quarterbacks that could run the football. And I do believe in that scheme. I think it's very, very hard to defend that extra hat there. So yeah, he does. But let's not forget, the first 11 on 11 that he was taking this year was Thursday. Yeah, it was Thursday. I mean, that's 2 days. I'm not great at math, but that's only 48 hours before you're thrust into a situation where, now your starting quarterback is hurt and you got to go in and it's, bonkers, and you got a whole bunch of drunk people in Athens yelling at you or barking at you. And it's kind of like, I thought he played well in that situation. Again, it is really tough to sit here. And I know we have to dissect the game that just happened, and I totally understand that, but it is really tough to gauge where this team is just because of how phenomenal that Georgia defense is. If there are issues against Kentucky, and I tried to ask Beamer this on Tuesday, I think my question was something like, do you ever look at the competition when trying to figure out if you're going to bring a quarterback back, if he's not fully healthy, do you wait another week? And he was like, well, the competition's tough every week. Kentucky's front seven, is great too. And I'm sitting there thinking to myself, okay, yes. Right. I mean, it's good. Georgia is on a whole new level. If the same issues are still there next Saturday, I think Carolina's got a much deeper issue than we thought on the offensive line.
Well, and that leads me to my next question, though, Mike. Do you think there's any way South kind of goes back to Zeb Nolan, or at this point, do you just ride Luke Doty out the rest of the way?
I mean, I think you got to go with Luke.
Yeah.
If he's healthy.
Because he's obviously healthy if he can play against Georgia. That's all I'm saying. He's maybe he's not 110%, but
totally
he's at least 98. You know what I mean? And
Totally
I don't want to thrust the guy out there before he's ready to go. But, I mean, if he wasn't ready to go, I would hope they wouldn't have just put him out there to put him out.
No, I don't think they would have.
Right.
And I think that, now that you got past the Georgia game, I think this is a perfect opportunity for Luke. You're at home. It's a night game. I don't want to say there's not as much pressure because, it's interesting. Some people don't like to play at home because they feel like there's more pressure to perform at home. I've always felt,
especially when you meet Carolina fans and feel how ruthless they can be.
Well, I mean, they can be, but Eddie, dude, come on,
that's every fan base. That's every fan base.
Florida, and it's like, if they don't put up 900 yards a game, it's like, they want to castrate everybody.
Right.
So it's like, I think this is a perfect opportunity against a solid defense, but not Georgia. You're at home. It's a night game. You played relatively well on the road last week. I think it's a good opportunity for him to start and see where he is. And of course, now, we don't know really the status of Zeb. I guess we'll find out tonight when Beamer talks, but, he had that cut and apparently, his finger's not broken, but I think a lot's going to have to do with that too. But I certainly do think that Doty gives you the best opportunity to win, and Beamer's just got to make that call and say, yeah, he's my guy, and we're riding him until the end.
Now, a comment that stood out to me, Mike, from the game Saturday night after the game, and just sticking with the offense and the wide receiver position, I think you and I will both agree the development of Josh Vann and the way he's emerged as this team's number one option undoubtedly has been incredible. Sure. But something he said in post game, that he said he refound his love for the game of football when Shane Beamer got the job and the new staff got in. And again, of course, I think that has a lot to do with why he's been able to develop and become the guy. And again, what he did last night, I think it was like 3 catches for like 140 yards. I mean, he just absolutely balled out for South Carolina. But when you hear a comment like that, you hear a quote like that, I know one of the bigger takeaways was, this team kept fighting, continued to fight. I thought in the fourth quarter, this team did not quit. They continued to fight, scratch and claw, and they played the game the right way, and they finished the game out the right way. But when you hear a comment like that, where does your mind go? Because for me, I keep trying to reassure fans that, hey, it was an ugly loss Saturday night. It was brutal. It was tough. We all hate Georgia, but the culture is slowly but surely changing. Like, things are changing for the positive. And I just, reading that comment, that just really struck me and hit me like, wow, like it just kind of goes to show how down and out things were before Shane got there. And at least now, if nothing else, I think there's kind of a newfound energy and hope and optimism within the building, if you will.
Yeah, I think you nailed it. And I think a lot of that has to do with Justin Stepp too.
Credit Justin Stepp. He's done a hell of a job.
For sure. His position coach, I think, and again, bigger picture, you and I have talked about this off air. I don't know if this has ever been sort of publicly stated, but I do think under the old regime, there was so much around, like, just in terms of like signage and, talk in that building about winning. It was win, championships, blah, blah, blah. And that almost seemed like the only goal, right? And when you're not getting to that goal every year, I think it starts to wear on guys who are, 19, 20 years old. Like, okay, so why are we here? What's our purpose? Yeah. And I think Beamer has come in, and the purpose has been sort of for the team, each other, loving, be supportive. And, for guys like Josh Vann, that's really, really helped. And I mean, credit Beamer. I mean, that's coaching right there. A lot of people think that, coaching just has to do with X's and O's, but I think a great head coach, 80% of it, in my opinion, is just, finding what works with people, right? And putting them in the best position to be happy, successful. And I think Beamer has been able to do that specifically with Josh Vann by just showing the guy some extra love. And can we talk about that? I mean, you said it, I think he had maybe 126 or something. I don't remember, but 3 catches for 126 yards. I mean, that stat sheet's incredible. Like, I mean, what is that? 40 yards a catch?
Yeah, 3. It was 3 for 128 and a touchdown.
128. Yeah. I mean, that's just
42 or so, 43 or so average. Yeah.
I mean, that to me is nuts. And he's quickly risen to being Carolina's number 1 receiver on the depth chart. And let's say this too. I really hope that Dak takes another step. I've been saying this for years now, I feel like, but Joyner is just such a phenomenal athlete that, if you can have a guy, like Joyner maybe in the slot or something, and then the deep threat, I mean, I think that could work out really, really well for Doty, but he certainly needs that other option.
Yeah. And maybe Jalen Brooks. Maybe Jalen Brooks could use that one-handed catch as like momentum to find himself, if you will.
Yeah, and I don't want to take anything away from that catch, but where's Brooks been? Having
trouble catching the football, if we're being honest. I mean, that's just the reality.
Right. And obviously that position group has got to come, miles between now and December, but I do think it's made strides. Josh Van has impressed. I mean, dude, that guy looks like a draft pick. Yeah, he looks like 3rd, 4th round pick. And he could. And I haven't looked at any projections at all, other than Enikbari going maybe top 10 now. But I don't know where they have him, but he certainly looks like one of the best receivers in the SEC right now.
Like you said, Mike, hard to really gauge and take away from the game on Saturday night. But are you surprised at how little action I think the tight ends are getting right now? I feel like the last 2 games, at least, like we haven't seen a ton of Nick Muse, Jaheim Bell. EJ Jenkins hasn't even touched the football yet. Yeah. I mean, again, hard to gauge against Georgia, but again, it's become more than a single game trend, if you will. Is that surprising at all?
I don't know. Eli Drinkwitz, I don't know if you remember this, but during SEC Media Days, he kind of had that quip, and he said something like, I want to thank Shane Beamer for telling everybody that they're going to throw to the tight ends this year. Right. So maybe giving away a little too much. I don't know if that's necessarily true, but I do know that defenses are keyed in on the tight ends because they know that Beamer wants to make that a big part of their offense. But I think it's opened up, the lane for guys like, Josh Van and Dak.
Saw a lot of single coverage on the outside. So I think that's
for sure, man. It'll be interesting to see if Kentucky goes with that model, because Muse can have a pretty big game. I will say this: Jaheim Bell, they've got to find a way to get Jaheim Bell the ball more.
I agree.
And I mean, even if they use him, in the run game, I mean, he had that run for a touchdown called back, when Nick Muse had the hold. But, you just see what a phenomenal athlete he is. So, I mean, every game, I think they need to find a way. I mean, whether they line him up at tight end, receiver, or running back, like they got to find a way for him to get the ball. Like, I don't care what you call him. Like, just call him, a skill player, because he's phenomenal. But yeah, I mean, I am a little surprised that they didn't necessarily go to the tight ends maybe a little bit more on Saturday night. But again, I think it worked out well for 2 receivers anyway.
Yeah, for sure. Mike, moving to the other side of the ball. Again, like you said, I agree with you. It is hard to gauge because of what Georgia throws at you. 491 total yards of offense, though. And I kept telling people all week, the Gamecocks came this game ranked 4th in the country in defense, and they had allowed 2 third-down conversions in the first 2 games. And everybody, which, again, granted, it was very exciting, and I still think Clayton White is doing great things with the defense. But
absolutely,
I think you and I and Talking Heads sort of knew, okay, this defense is really going to get their first test. In Georgia, for example, 9 of 12 on third downs. They threw for 307 yards. And I think you kind of saw, at least for me personally, some of the issues, some of the deficiencies that I thought were going to be deficiencies, were things that were sort of exposed on Saturday night. The secondary, I think, still got a long way to go. I think you obviously have a defensive line and defensive front to build around. But again, hard to gauge. I don't think you're as bad as you saw Saturday night. I don't think you're as good as you saw in the first two games. Is that a fair assessment of the defense?
Yeah, I think so. And again, remember that defensive line is loaded with just top level talent that, the previous administration was able to get. Shane Beamer able to hold on to. And yeah, I mean, I think it's, from what I've seen, one of the best defensive lines in the SEC will be throughout the season. That Georgia offensive line, however, is phenomenal. And that's just kind of all there is to it. Like I said, I think this Saturday night is going to go a long, long way in determining how good this football team is and where they sort of stack up. But, again, there were some things early that, I mean, that first drive, right, ends in a rushing touchdown. I didn't have that on my bingo board. Seriously, like I thought that they were going to go to the air to score their first points. And I thought they were going to go to the air early and often. And that's just, and they eventually did, but I didn't expect for them to have those sort of rushing totals that they did last night. That was very, very surprising to me. But again, I think that just goes to show you that Georgia is sort of in a class, not necessarily of their own, but certainly above the rest in the SEC. And so if the same issues exist on Saturday night against Kentucky and Rodriguez, who is phenomenal, Levis, who could chuck the ball all over the field. So they looked like shit last Saturday or yesterday. But then we've got some issues.
Yeah, let's move, Mike, to that game on Saturday night, because, of course, my biggest goal, Mike, and you might get a chuckle out of this, but I told some buddies before the game on Saturday night against Georgia, I was like, your number one goal if you're Shane Beamer and this football team, outside of winning, of course, but from the fan perspective, I just said, just get out of this game with enough positive things happening to keep the momentum and hype going into the Kentucky game, right? Because if you go out there and lose 56-0, this week's going to be doom and gloom. But instead, I think there were enough positives that did happen. There are bright spots that came from that game. And now you go into this weekend, the Kentucky Wildcats coming to your house. You've lost 6 of 7 to them, but a night game at Williams-Brice. You'd expect a packed atmosphere, a rowdy crowd. Yeah. And before the season started, Mike, you and I think we may have touched on this, but I harped on it over and over again, that I looked at the East Carolina game as the most pivotal game of the season, just because, getting to a bowl game, we sit here right now and the Gamecocks are 2-1. And I literally told my buddy the other night, thank God we're 2-1. It feels great to be 2-1. Can you imagine if we were 1-2
I agree
right
with
now?
that.
Right.
Sure.
I mean, it's the obvious, but it's the truth.
No,
but
100% accurate.
Yeah,
and I think we feel that way too.
Yeah. But the Kentucky game for many was actually their most important game. And for me, it was right behind it, because now, again, you sit here 2-1, and this game serves much more as the measuring stick, if you will, in regards to, okay, how far away or close to is South Carolina to realistically, finishing top half or top third, I should say, of the SEC East and realistically competing? Like, kind of how far off are they, or how close are they, if you will? The significance in this football game, when you look at it, how important is it for Shane Beamer in his early tenure at South Carolina?
I honestly think it's probably the most important game in the SEC this year, because I still think Florida and Georgia are better than Carolina, especially after watching Florida and Alabama yesterday. I mean, I do think that Florida is a much better football team right now than Carolina and Kentucky and Tennessee and the rest of the East, except Georgia. The middle of the pack, though, right? Tennessee, Kentucky. In my opinion, Kentucky's a better football team than Tennessee. So where do you finish there in the middle of that pack, right? And again, it's a team that's lost 6 out of 7. And they've just done it in so many funky ways too. It's weird. Like, I think back to that sort of that first loss in 2014. I was there. All of a sudden they start running the freaking Wildcat. Late in that game, and it was just kind of, and Whammy had no idea how to stop it. And, it just almost feels like Kentucky has outsmarted Carolina time and time again in some of the schemes that they've been able to pull off. And I don't understand why that is. I think South Carolina has more talent than Kentucky defensively. I think offensively, I said this in the offseason, Kentucky's a problem. I mean, Levis, he looks the throws that he's able to make. And we're not just talking like, 10, 15-yard throws. I mean, we're talking like 50-yard bombs.
Yeah, I was watching yesterday. It looked effortless. I mean, like flick of the wrist for him. I mean, it was.
Yeah, I mean, and it really is. I mean, and that offensive line has given him plenty of time to make those plays. So, I think safeties in this game play a pivotal role for Carolina. And I really do hope for the Gamecocks' sake that they get Cam Smith back because, he's arguably the best player in that secondary. And if you take him away, then I think Levis is going to be able to throw the ball where he wants to. So yeah, I think that's my key. That's my key for Saturday is the play of the secondary. Cause I do think, honestly, Chris, I do think that Carolina's defensive line can stop the run. I think they can stop Rodriguez. I don't know if the secondary, from what I've seen, I know that they've played better. Like the first two games, they played better, I think, than what we thought they would. But again, they got exposed on Saturday night.
You saw the issues. You saw the issues we were worried about in the preseason.
You saw the issues, right? Exactly. And, again, from what I've seen, Levis has got the receivers to do it. And, he certainly has the arm. So, they've got to be ready. They definitely have to be ready for the bombs because they're coming. And it's really weird to say that because I maybe I just have short-term memory loss. I don't even know, but or maybe I drink too much. That's probably it. But I don't remember a Kentucky team sort of designed like this, where you have a quarterback that's going out there and just chucking it all over the field.
It's been a while for them. They've been a ground and pound. That's what I was going to say is when I think of the 6 of 7 that Carolina's lost in the Kentucky series, they have physically whipped you at the point of attack. That's really to me been the entire story of that 6 of 7. They have just, and so that's, since we're giving keys for the game, I know it's only Monday, but my key would be the line of scrimmage and the offensive line. You simply will not win the football game if you cannot run the football. I fully believe that. If that offensive line doesn't make a huge jump, and again, I know it was Georgia, you can't gauge, but they've been bad all year. And again, like you said, that's the point Ben was making. They've been bad all season. So if they can't figure it out, get it together, run the football, if you can't use your backs and you have to put it all on the right shoulder of Luke Doty, I think it's going to be a tough night. I think it's going to be a tough night for you. So
100%. I totally agree with that. And can Carolina design something? Maybe not. I don't know. You can't design anything new at this point, but can you maybe execute something in your playbook in the run game that maybe you haven't shown yet to be able to move the ball effectively on the ground? It's crazy to me, man. I mean, I get, Georgia. I feel like I've been hyping them all freaking. This might as well be the Go Dogs podcast, but I mean, I get it. They're phenomenal, but South Carolina has 4 phenomenal backs that I'm still waiting for them to break out. I mean, and Juju did, late in the game against ECU, but I'm still waiting for that epic Marshawn Lloyd moment, the long Kevin Harris.
I'll tell you this, for a fan base, and just call it for what it is, a program that spent the entire offseason and preseason feeling disrespected because our running back room's not ranked high enough.
100%.
You've done nothing in 3 weeks to tell anybody that the Georgia backs looked a lot better than your guys. So, hey, use that as your motivation or whatever, if the fuel you need. But right now, you're not as good as you thought you were or said you were all preseason. So what are you going to do about it? What are you going to do about it?
Right. Yeah. I mean, and if you watch, Auburn and Penn State, I mean, Tank Bigsby is a problem.
Yeah, he's for real. He's for real. Yeah.
But so was Kevin Harris last year. And again, that hasn't gone anywhere. Like they still have the same running back room. So I'm just trying to figure out where the disconnect is. And hopefully it's just sort of ironing out some kinks in the first 3 games, miscommunication issues and whatnot. I mean, they've been there, dude. Like against ECU, I can't remember the 2 receivers, but you had 2 receivers basically almost running the same route. I don't know if you saw this. And then
it was it Van like picked off Jaheim Bell basically or something?
Yes. And so I'm thinking, okay, obviously that's not by design. So
it felt like the Bad News Bears. Like we were just,
yes,
and it worked out, but it was like, oh my God, what are we doing?
What it reminded me of? I can't remember if this was Muschamp or if this was McElwain, but the 2 Florida offensive linemen blocking each other in that game.
Oh, yes. It
reminded me. It's like, huh? It's one of those moments where you're like, that's not right. That doesn't look, that's not by design at all. So, and then last night, clearly, Dacarrion Joyner, super, super frustrated with some of the calls, right? I mean, he's barking back at the sideline, like he's confused. The coaches are confused. Beamer, is sitting there dropping F-bombs. Like, I'm like, wow, I didn't even know he did that. I didn't even know that word was in his vocabulary. You know what I mean? And so clearly that is a massive, massive issue. So I'm trying to figure out, and again, as the season goes along, I think we're going to get answers to this, but I'm trying to figure out if maybe some of those issues on the offensive line and in the run game are just sort of communication issues and scheme issues, or maybe they're just getting whooped. I don't know. I'm not sure, man. And I think we'll find out a lot on Saturday.
Yeah, I'd agree with you. I think this is, like I said, going to be a measuring stick. You're going to really get a good idea. Again, I will tell you, Mike, I picked this Kentucky game as a loss in the preseason. So, it's interesting. I had a couple people send me some screenshots that apparently the ESPN FBI index or whatever the index, which if you care about that, I don't know, but it is actually flipped to South Carolina being like 55% favor probability to win. So take it for what it's worth. I know Kentucky didn't look great on Saturday, but yeah, like you mentioned, the Cats still, I think they're still a problem. They still feature with Levis and the guys they have on the outside and that running game with Rodriguez and a really tough Stoops defense. It will be a challenge for South Carolina. I would expect them, again, we're talking on Sunday afternoon. The line hasn't dropped yet. I would expect Kentucky probably to be a 4.5, 5-point favorite in this football game. Maybe 6, but that's kind of where I see it falling in regards to the probabilities, if you will.
Yeah, that is interesting that ESPN flipped because, I mean, Carolina lost 2 defensive starters yesterday. I don't know when Cam Smith's coming back. He re-injured the same foot that he's been having problems with. So I don't know, man. I definitely would not have done that just because, those 2 injuries I think are massive for this game on Saturday. Yeah. Hopefully Cam Smith's back, but, certainly losing a starting middle linebacker.
A senior too. A senior.
Yeah. It's not good. So, like I said, hopefully Cam just sort of re-aggravated it a little bit and he's able to get back healthy in the middle of the week. But I don't know, man. I guess we'll find out tonight.
Yeah, no doubt. Again, like I said, man, it's going to be one hell of a week. I feel like, man, like I said, I feel, at least from what I'm picking up from the fan base and everybody involved, the excitement there for this Kentucky game. And it's just one of those games, like I said, that I think could be that fork in the road, if you will, for your season. All of a sudden, if you win, you're 3-1. Heck, you're about to basically, and you've got Troy upcoming. Who knows? You could be bowl eligible by end of October if things kind of go your way. Mike, this has been a pleasure, been a blast. Like I said, going to be one hell of a week this week. Before I get you out of here, though, I feel like Gamecock fans, they want to discuss this. Maybe they don't, but how surprised are you at Clemson right now? They look very mortal in regards to, taking a goal line stop to beat Georgia Tech. Is there something to it? Is this the beginning of the end of the Clemson dynasty, you think?
No, I don't think so. I think they've got some massive issues with DJ. And, for some reason, that sort of same success that he had last year in those two games has not translated. Don't forget too, they've had some offensive line issues. I think this is crazy. The number one storyline, I think, in the offseason for Clemson was who the hell was going to play center, right? So they've had a lot of offensive line issues. I think that's, it's definitely showing. They still have the talent to win the ACC. That's not saying much, obviously, this year. Especially Florida State now 0-3. And I do think Georgia Tech has improved a lot over the last year. So it wasn't absolutely atrocious. It was bad, but I don't think it was like, oh my God, the sky is falling down. Because I've certainly seen, maybe 5 or 6 years ago against Louisville, Clemson barely pulled that one out. And, they went on to, I think 9 or 10 win team. And I don't know if they'll get back to the playoff. I mean, they definitely have some question marks. Like I said, offensive line, they've got a really young running back in Will Shipley. He's a freshman that they've been relying on a lot. But yeah, it does seem like there's a big disconnect there. It's not the same offense that we're used to. It's very, very strange. They're very run heavy this year.
Like that was the incorrect answer. The correct answer was yes, they are falling off. South Carolina is going to pull the upset this year. No, I'm kidding.
They already lost to Georgia. So
South Carolina actually scored a touchdown against Georgia. So by rule, South Carolina is better than Clemson. Again, I don't make the rules. I just follow them. That's it.
Sure. Well, I will say this.
Because the transitive property obviously applies in college football. There's just no doubt.
I will say this. After watching Clemson the first 3 games, I do think that Carolina-Clemson game could be as close as it's been in a while. Yeah. If they don't get some of those issues figured out, it could. And
who knows what South Carolina looks like at the end of the year and how much better of a football team, because I think they will be. I think this actually under Beamer will be a football team that actually improves week to week to week. I think honestly, again, going back to the Kentucky game, like I think playing Georgia again, the injuries is the big thing. You mentioned that sucks.
Yeah.
In regards to though, like I think actually playing Georgia before Kentucky is a huge advantage because it's like you're not going to see anything from Kentucky that you didn't see from Georgia. Kentucky will throw nothing at you that Georgia did not already do so. So 100%. There will be no surprise. That's something I kind of thought. The schedule is how the schedule is, but maybe it hurt South Carolina a little bit because I thought the Gamecocks DBs almost looked shell shocked at like how good Georgia was on the outside. And it's like. But here's the thing you got to think about. They don't see that in practice. All due respect to Josh Vann and those other receivers, though, like they don't see that every day in practice. And they obviously didn't see it the first 2 weeks. So
and a quarterback who can sling it like
right.
JT.
They just have not seen that. Call it for what it is. Iron sharpens iron. The best benefit of these great teams, like when you're at Alabama, you're practicing. You're not going to play against anyone better than who you practice against. That is a luxury. That's a luxury to have. So just a little side note there. Last thing, better chance of happening. South Carolina beats Clemson this year or Will Muschamp comes on the Spurs Up show?
I'm going to say South Carolina beating Clemson. We got to make that happen.
I'm honestly really surprised, Mike. Again, I'm. Did you watch the game on TV or were you there in Sanford Saturday?
No, I watched it on TV.
Okay. I was surprised they did not make the Will Muschamp thing a bigger deal. I really was surprised at that.
They waited a long time.
They did.
I think it was like fourth quarter or something.
They just slipped it in as a little side note. And I'm not complaining because I was like, that's like the last thing I want to see right now.
Oh yeah.
But
that's a good thing for Georgia, right? Because it just shows how freaking good they are. That ESPN doesn't have to. They've got so many other storylines with this team. Look, JT Daniels, at this rate, the guy could win the Heisman. He looks phenomenal. That defensive 7, best in the country. This is the Kirby Smart's best shot that he's had since coming to Georgia, winning the whole thing. There are a lot of better storylines there than a guy who took two SEC East programs and made them dumpster fires. He's the special teams coordinator now.
Yeah.
You know why he's the special teams coordinator? Well, because the old guy had to leave. Yeah. So, like, just think
right
about
place, right time, man. Just right place, right time. That's it.
It's nuts. Yeah. How much is he getting a year? Like $300,000?
300,000. But I mean, he's collecting hell a lot more from South Carolina and probably still Florida. So
sign me up, man. Sign me
for
up.
sure, Mike. It's always a pleasure, man. I truly appreciate you taking the time and looking forward to a really fun week, man. Like I said, I am more giddy than normal the day following a loss, and I think I think most Gamecock fans are as well, just because there is still great opportunity this week.
Yeah.
There's a great opportunity this Saturday night in Williams-Brice Stadium. And again, of course, later in the week, we're going to dissect that and break that all down. But, night game at Willie B. SEC Nation announced they're going to be there Saturday morning, I guess, at Gamecock Park. So a lot of buzz, a lot of excitement. Big game early in Shane Beamer's tenure. We'll see how it turns out. But again, Mike Gillespie, ABC Columbia. Mike, always a pleasure to chat with you, my friend. Let's do it again soon for sure.
Thanks, man. I appreciate you having me. And congratulations. Big 500.
Big 500, man. Thanks so much. He's Mike Gillespie. I'm Chris Phillips. We appreciate you guys tuning in, and we'll catch you next time on another episode of the Spurs Up Show.